Very good morning to all of you. How are you? Sanjay, Yogesh, everyone.
Good morning.
Very good morning. Very good morning. So, my request would be please be active in the chat to make the class slightly more interactive. Okay. Let me start. The time of supply. What is the importance of this chapter? Why we are doing this chapter? Or why we are reading this provision? Transaction, whether it is goods or services, can happen in a multiple month. Let's say, for example, I am manufacturing of laptop. Customer has given the order me in the month of April. In the month of April, I have received the order and let's say I have received the 25% advance. In the month of May, I have started the manufacturing. In the month of the June, I have dispatched the goods to my customer. In the month of the July, I have raised the tax invoice. In the month of August, I have received the balance payment. Now, when I should pay the taxes, the answer is given in this provision, that is the time of supply. The time at which my transaction would be construed as supply and supplier has to pay the tax. Do you have any idea whether GST is payable on advance? Sanjay, Yogesh?
For goods, it is not paid on advance, sir. For service, it is.
So you mean to say if I am a supplier of the goods or supplier of the service, I'm not required to pay the GST on advance?
For supply of goods, GST is not paid on advance received.
Okay.
For supply of service, we have to pay.
Correct. Perfect. Sanjay, would you like to add anything? Any exception to the goods in which we need to pay the GST on advance for supply of the goods? Any one transaction, two transaction? What is the answer? The answer is there would be one or two exception wherein in case of the goods also we need to pay the GST on advance, but otherwise, Yogesh, your answer is perfectly correct. Now, the total entire provision is being divided in three sections. Section 12 for supply of the goods, time of supply for the goods. Section 13, time of supply for services. And last section, section 14 is the change in the rate of taxes. Okay. So that we will discuss in today's class. First, let me complete the goods and some part of services. And in the next class, we will cover the important amendment time of supply for vouchers and the balance, section 14. Now, let me start the relevant provision. Section 12. It says that tax liability on the goods shall arise at the time of supply is determined in the provision of this section. So section 12 is applicable for supply of the goods. The 12 subsection 2 talks about three provisions. 3 dates, whichever is earlier. First, the date of issue of the invoice by the supplier. The first is date of issue of the invoice by the supplier. It is very simple. And second is last date on which the supplier is required to issue the invoice under section 31. So there has some upper limit that by which I need to raise the tax invoice. So I can say that clause A says that actual date of invoice and last day to issue the tax invoice, whichever is earlier. Okay. That is first clause. Clause 2 says date on which supplier received the payment. So I can say that if the clause A, two things, Neither I have issued the invoice, nor there is a last day to issue the invoice because I have not made the supply. I have received only advance. So clause B will trigger, and initial days in July 17, I can say the time of supply triggered when I receive only advance. Then there was certain relaxation that why the GST is not payable on the advance, that we will discuss. And along with that, we will also discuss what are the exception wherein we need to pay the GST on advance for supply of the goods also. Then proviso says where the supplier of taxable goods, similar proviso you will read in the services also. So where the supplier of the taxable goods receive an amount up to rupees 1000. So I am supplying the goods. If you are giving the advance to me only to the extent of 1000 in excess of the amount indicated in the invoice. So it means my tax invoice was rupees 1 lakh and you have given me the 1 lakh 1000. I can say to the extent of 1000 rupees, it is also the advance. But I have the choice adoption of the supplier. It means I have the choice either to pay the GST by trading 1000 as advance, or I can defer till the date of the issue of invoice for which you have given the excess amount. Probably in future I like to make the supply for which you have given the 1000 rupees extra, and on this 1000 I will pay the taxes upon the subsequent tax invoice. Now, this proviso is more or less irrelevant because we talked about that no GST for goods advance. So, by this, I can say the proviso would become more or less irrelevant, but yes, there would be some relevance. Now, the explanation 1 and explanation 2, very important. For the purpose of the clause A and the clause B, supply shall be deemed to have made, very important. Supply shall be deemed to have been made to the extent it is covered by the invoice or as the case may be the payment. Meaning thereby, if I have received the advance for supply, so same provision is there in the services also. So please do not think for the time being that no GST on advance for supply of the goods. That is okay. But what is the importance of the clause explanation A? Explanation 1 says that supply shall be deemed to have been taken place to the extent it is covered by the invoice or as the case may be the payment. What does it mean? I have received the advance from you, let's say 10,000 rupees. I am required to pay the GST on advance. Let's say I'm sitting in the month of the July 17. Will the advance be added in the annual aggregate turnover? See, there is a different concept of double ATO. There is a different concept of double ATO. Annual aggregate turnover. We need to include all taxable supplies. We need to include all exempt supply. We need to include export. We will not include RCM, inward RCM, and we will not include the taxes. The question comes, if I have received the only advance till time I have not made the payment, for the purpose of the clause A and the clause B, the supply shall be deemed to have been made to the extent it is covered by the invoice or as the case may be the payment. if I have received the payment, then also it will be deemed to have been made to the extent it is covered by the same. It means it will be treated that I have made the supply to the extent of 10,000. And therefore, this advance is also being added in the ATO. This advance is also being added in the ATO. When you read the section 2 clause 6 definition of the aggregate turnover, you will not have the complete answer, do we need to include the advance or not? But by reading the explanation 1, we will have the more clarity. Okay. Let's move to the explanation 2. For the purpose of the clause B, the date on which the supplier received the payment shall be the date when the payment is entered in the books of accounts or the date on which the payment is credited in the bank, whichever is earlier. Why? What does it mean? It means if you have given the advance, but I have not accounted for, I have simply deposited the amount in the bank. You have given the advance through check, and I have simply deposited that check in the bank. It got cleared, but I passed the entry on 31st March for an entire year. Then what is the date when I receive the payment? It says that it will be considered both. Both means when the supplier passed the accounting entry in the books or when the amount is being credited in the bank, whichever is earlier. But please note, yes, but the same provisions are there in the services also. But when I will explain the section 14, change in the rate of the taxes, you will find slight different provision. There is a concept of 4 working days. We will discuss in the section 14. When is your exam due? Yogesh, Sanjay and Chitra, can you please message? Can you chat or you can speak also? No problem. But when you are appearing for the CA final, just which attempt?
I'm appearing in May 26.
Okay. And Yogesh and Chitra?
January, sir.
January 26.
Yes, sir.
Oh, great. And Chitra, what about you?
May 26.
ठीक है.
Sir, I have a query, sir. Explanation 1 में, sir.
Yeah, please,
अभी
please.
मतलब सर मतलब अभी हमें जब पेमेंट मिलता है एडवांस में गुड्स के लिए तो वो एग्रीगेट टर्नओवर के अंदर ऐड होगा, राइट? वही मतलब है ना सर उसका
हाँ,
एक्सप्लेनेशन
वही मतलब है.
ओके.
मतलब जब हम रिटर्न्स के चैप्टर में आएंगे या आप अपना प्रैक्टिकल अंडरस्टैंडिंग देखेंगे ना, तो हम उसको ना जब सिस्टम कैलकुलेट करता है तो वो ऐड कर देता है. तो ऐड करने का लॉजिक क्या है, वो लॉजिक मैंने आपको एक्सप्लेन किया.
ओके. तो मतलब उस पे टैक्स भी भरना पड़ता है सर? जीएसटी लायबिलिटी बन जाती है सर कब?
नहीं. अब वो हम थोड़ी देर में पढ़ेंगे. नोटिफिकेशन आया, उसने रिलैक्स कर दिया क्लॉज बी, एंड देयरफॉर टू द एक्सटेंट आई एम नॉट रिक्वायर्ड टू सी, देयर आर ओनली 2 ट्रांजेक्शन ऑन विच जो गुड्स का ट्रांजेक्शन है जिसके ऊपर जीएसटी देना, उन 2 के अलावा बाकी मुझे दिखाने की जरूरत नहीं, बाकी मुझे ऐड करने की जरूरत नहीं.
लायबिलिटी नहीं बनती है बट एग्रीगेट टर्नओवर में ऐड होगा.
हाँ, मतलब अगर बहुत प्योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग में जाऊं इस एक्सप्लेनेशन में, योर पॉइंट इज एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. क्या मतलब हुआ कि नॉर्मली अगर मैं गुड्स की बात करूं, मुझे एडवांस नहीं देना, एडवांस पर टैक्स नहीं देना. बट व्हाट इट सेज दैट सप्लाई शैल बी डीम्ड टू हैव बीन made to the extent it is covered by the invoice or as the case may be by the payment. But अभी हम ना क्लॉज बी के रिलैक्सेशन के रिगार्ड में एक नोटिफिकेशन रीड करेंगे. ठीक है, जस्ट वेट फॉर सम टाइम, देन वी कैन डिस्कस फर्दर.
ओके.
Explanation 2, already we have discussed कि whichever is earlier का concept है, means when I have received the payment or when I have passed the entry in the books of accounts, when the payment is credited in the bank or when I have passed the entry in the books, whichever is earlier, that date will be counted as the date for the purpose of the clause B. ठीक है, अब आगे बढ़ते हैं. In case of the supplies, एक बार clause 2 का थोड़ा एनालिसिस कर लेते हैं. We will read that particular. हाँ, गवर्नमेंट ने 148 के पावर को यूज करते हुए द गवर्नमेंट हैज इशूड वन नोटिफिकेशन दैट इज 66/2027. ठीक है, which talks about that registered person should pay the GST on the outward supply as specified in the 12 subsection 2 clause A, meaning thereby they are not required to pay the GST in accordance with the clause B. What is the clause B? Clause B means GST on advance. It means if I am a supplier of the goods, I will pay the GST by considering the clause A. Clause A talks about two dates, invoice ka date and last date to issue the tax invoice. What is the last date to issue the tax invoice? In some time we will read section 31 by which we can determine what is the last date. Then but this will also hold good in case of the section 14. What does it means? That we will discuss in the section 14. Because of this, including the situation attracting the provision of the section 14, because of this language, because of this wording in the notification, I can say to a larger extent, section 14 is not relevant for goods. To a larger extent. Why? Because there are few exceptions that we will discuss here. But apart from that, I can say the section 14 is not applicable to a larger extent on the supply of the goods. Why? Because this notification has given the benefit in case of the section 14 also. What is the benefit? That no GST on advance. But what are the exceptions? There are two exceptions. One is composition dealer and second is supplier of specified actionable claim like online money gaming. What does it mean? If I am composite dealer, you have given the advance to me, I will pay the GST on advance for goods only, but I will pay the GST on advance for supply of the goods. Why? Because this notification is not extended the benefit to the composition dealer. And one more category, that is a specified actionable claim, which include online money gaming. Multiple transactions are there, and therefore I can say in these two transactions the GST would be payable on supply of the goods, on advance for supply of the goods. Whether online money gaming should be goods or should be services? Online money gaming should be goods or should be services? You can give the reply by unmuting yourself, or you can give the reply in the chat, whatever you think. Online money gaming is goods और सर्विस. मैंने कहने को तो कह दिया कि ऑनलाइन मनी गेमिंग पर एडवांस पर टैक्स नहीं लगेगा, बट इज इट ए गुड्स और इज इट ए सर्विसेज? लाइक ड्रीम 11, like Rummy, these are the transaction of the goods or these are the transaction of services?
Services, sir.
Okay. Fine. Let's read that whether it is goods or whether it is services. Let me go and read the provisions. Let me go to the definition of specified actionable claim if it is being given in that. 1 minute. I think not given. On goods ka definition, just allow me 1 minute. Let me open that definition and then show you that definition. So this is the website of CBIC only, authentic source. Let me show you the definition of specified actionable claim. A specified actionable claim means the actionable claim involved by way of the betting, casinos, gambling, horse racing, lottery, and online money gaming. So there are the 6 transactions, out of which I will highlight only one, online money gaming. So I can say the online money gaming is a specified actionable claim. Is a specified actionable claim. Correct. Now you all know the definition of goods. What is the meaning of the goods? Goods means every kind of the movable property other than money and security, but include actionable claim. But include actionable claim. And now, if you talk about actionable claim, if you talk about the schedule 3, can you tell me whether GST would be payable on actionable claim or not? Para 6 give the answer. The actionable claim, no GST, but other than specified actionable claim. What does it mean? It means you are not required to pay the GST on actionable claim, but actionable claim does not include a specified actionable claim like lottery, betting, gambling, casino. So it means the GST is payable on online money gaming, casino. Yes, these are the actionable claim. These are the actionable claim, but excluded from the levy under the schedule 3 or negative list under the schedule 3. And as per the definition given in supply of the goods, section 2, clause 52, goods means in every kind of the movable property, but include actionable claim. What does it mean? It means actionable claim is goods, and therefore the online money gaming is nothing but the goods. And because it is a goods, therefore we are talking about here that it is covered in the exception or not of the taxability on advance for supply the goods. See, let me repeat once again. एक बात तो कंफर्म है कि अगर हम गुड्स के टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई की बात कर रहे हैं, one thing is very very clear that if we are talking about time of supply for the goods, ठीक है, and we are talking about this transaction, it means probably it has some linking. How? Because actionable claim is goods, and therefore online money gaming, which is a specified actionable claim and goods, and which does not have the relaxation of advance. क्या मतलब हुआ? It means if I am composite dealer, assume I am a supplier, or I am making the supply of specified actionable claim. Where if I am a supplier of composition dealer, not supplier of the if I am registered as a composition dealer, or I am making the supply the specified actionable claim, or like let's say online money gaming, etc. Then if I receive the advance, I need to pay the GST at the time of advance itself. Is it clear? एक बार confirm कीजिए.
So clear
Clear,
for
sir.
me.
Thank you. And you are asking something, kya? Anyone?
No, sir, I said it's clear to me.
Thank you.
Clear, sir.
Thank you. Now, in simple word, all the taxpayer under forward charge, except composition and specified actionable claim, are not required to pay the GST. Okay, at the time of receipt of advance in relation to supply the goods. Entire GST will become payable only when the invoice is issued or ought to have been issued. Thus, time of supply of the goods for the purpose of section 31, for the purpose of the payment of the taxes, is the date of invoice or the last date on which invoice is required to be issued under section 31. Now, let's move to the section 31. This part we have already discussed. Now we are talking about time limit for issuance of the invoice for the supply of the goods under section 31. See, if the goods are movable means on account of the supply, the goods will be moved from one location to the another location. Then the invoice need to be issued either before or at the time of removal of the goods. Either before or at the time of removal of the goods, where supply involve the movement of the goods or delivery of the goods in any other case. So that we will discuss later on. It means, let's say I'm a supplier of the laptop and you've given the order of the laptop to me. When I will remove from my factory, that will become the last date to issue the tax invoice. Can I issue the invoice in advance? In advance, not on advance for supply of the goods. I'm saying that can I issue prior to the date of removal of the goods? Answer is yes, because they've used the word before. Now let's say, because of my sales target, my sales team has approached to raise the tax invoice on 31st March. I know the goods will be removed in the month of April. I know that goods will be removed in the month of April, but because of that, to achieve the sales target, I have made the tax invoice on 31st March. Will this invoice, which I issued on 31st March, still I have not removed the goods, do I need to pay the GST on that tax invoice? Or I can defer till the removal? Second
We
question.
have to pay, sir.
You have to pay. Okay, very nice. Second question. Can I say that because I removed after in the next month, so therefore the supply will be in the next month only, or this invoice will be added in my calculation of turnover in the month of the March?
Added in the month of March.
Added in the month of the March. Any reason? Any reason behind that? Technically, I can say supply I have made in the month of April, but I do agree that your answer is correct. I have to add in the month of the March. Can you support me something?
Section 31 before or at it is before. So before removing the removal of the goods, we are issuing the invoice.
So correct. That is okay. So that you have given the answer that why I can raise the invoice prior to the removal. That you have given the answer to me. Very fully agree. But my question is, do I need to add my turnover in the month of the March, or I can say the turnover would be counted when I am remove the goods. Actually, supply is being made in the month of April only. To
At
counter this,
12.2 section says that we have to pay tax on the date of issue of invoice.
that is okay. So perfectly okay. But so I have understood two things. You have told me that I can issue the invoice before because of this. Fully agree. Second thing you told me that you need to pay the tax in the month of the March, like sir also told. Why? Because 12 subsection 2 says that date of the invoice or date of the removal or last date to issue the invoice, whichever is earlier. So I have received your answer that I need to pay the GST. Now my third question, or it is not covered in my two question, will I add in my double ATO or not? Will it be added in my calculation of supply or not? Because this question is might be not too much important from the exam point of view, but practically the people are asking lot of things, lot of question on this point. To answer that, you always refer the explanation one. The answer to this is given in the explanation one. Even though I have not removed the goods in the month of the March, because I have issued the invoice, so explanation, according to explanation one, supply shall be deemed to be to the extent of covered by the invoice. One interesting thing I also tell you, so you have understood that why it is covered in the turnover.
Yes, sir.
Now last point where the explanation one will help you, either practically or examination point of view. Consider both. In case of AMC services, so sometime, let's say I'm talking about I am the publishing house and I have the big printer and I have taken the AMC from Xerox company. And let's say there's a concept of 3-year ka AMC. We also have some long-term AMC concept also in the business. I have taken the 3-year ka AMC, of which I have made the payment, etc. He has issued the tax invoice of 3 years. The question comes, can I take the ITC of entire 3 years, because I know that I can receive the service for 1 year in this year, okay, but balance 2 years would be received in the subsequently, not now. Question comes, without receiving the service, can I take the ITC? Because when I read the section 16 ITC that I am going to cover the ITC chapter, the question comes, can I take the ITC for future services? That we will discuss over there. But again, I can say, if you have received the invoice, then it means the supply has been made to you to the extent it is covered in the tax invoice. So therefore, why I am eligible to take the ITC? Because the invoice which is being issued, it will be treated that yes, supply has been covered. So to take the ITC, some attention or some linking to be drawn with the explanation one as well. Okay. So that is the importance of explanation one. ये हमने कवर कर लिया है. In case of the continuous supply of the goods, the invoice should be issued before or at the time of issuance of the periodical statement or received the payment. It means if I'm continuously supplying the goods, let's say on weekly basis, on daily basis, I'm making the supply of the goods. In that case, I will issue the tax invoice at the time of periodical statement. So for example, I am giving you the statement on weekly basis or monthly basis or fortnightly basis. Or you are making the payment in every 10 days. Whichever is earlier, that will be the last date to issue the tax invoice. So prima facie, I can say, now you tell me, let's frame one practical problem. Consider that relaxation. Consider this relaxation. Which relaxation? This relaxation. I'm asking the question to you. I am making the goods to you on daily basis. And I am giving the statement by the end of the month. But you are making the payment on every 15 days. So this month, let's say in the month of August, you have given the payment to me on 15th of August, but I have issued the statement on entire month. I have issued the statement on 1st September. You have given two payment to me. First is on 16th September, let's say 16th August, and second payment is on 1 September. मैं एक बार डेट लिख लेता हूं to remove the ambiguity. First payment कब किया आपने? You made the first payment on 16th of August. You made the second payment on 1st of September. And when I have issued the statement, I have issued the statement on 1st September 2025. Now you tell me, can I say, and I am continuously supplying the goods on daily basis. Can you say, you tell me, what is the time of supply?
Receipt of payment 16th.
This will be the time of supply?
Before or at the time of receipt of the periodic payment. So since we have received the payment before the issue of the statement, it will be the time of supply 16/8.
Even though this relaxation is there, that no GST on advance for supply of the goods. Can I say this?
So
even though
there is a sir, we are continuously supplying of goods, right, sir? So there is we are moving the goods, sir. There is a continuous supply of goods. It doesn't mean
Right.
that we are receiving the advance.
Right. So the answer is correct. The time of supply 16th August. It is not because I have received the advance. It is not because I have received the advance, therefore I am paying the GST. No. Then why I am paying the GST? Because this advance has triggered the last date to issue the tax invoice in case of the continuous supply of the goods. Here also, I am ignoring the clause B. In this example, I am paying the tax, ignoring the clause B. I am paying the tax as per the clause A only. What is the clause A? Clause A means the date of invoice or last date to issue the tax invoice. Accordingly, I am still ignoring the clause B, which gives the relaxation for supply of the goods on advance. But in this case, the taxability become triggered or arised. Why? Why? Because the advance periodical payment create the last date to issue the tax invoice is in case the container supply the goods. Because the 16th August is the last date to issue the tax invoice, and therefore in clause A, the actual tax invoice ka date is 1st September, last date to issue the tax invoice in case of section 31 become 16th August, Therefore, the time of supply will trigger on 16th August. Is it clear? You only have given the answer. I have not given the answer. Very nice. Great. Great. ठीक है. Now, in case of the continuous supply of the goods, and when I will move to the continuous supply of the service, you will find one big difference. What is the difference? What is the difference? The difference is that to treat the transaction as continuous supply of the goods, there is no minimum period of continuity. It means it can be like any period. It will be treated as continuous supply of the goods. But for continuous supply of the service, there is minimum continuity of 90 days. So this is the difference. Always remember. ठीक है? Let's move. Continuous supply of the goods is a supply of the goods provided or agreed to be provided continuously on recurrent basis under a contract, and for which the supplier issue the invoice on a regular or periodical basis, and include the supply of the goods to the government subject to such condition as it may by notification specify. However, this concept will be discussed in very length in chapter 9. In case the goods sent or taken on approval for sales or return, the invoice should be issued before or at the time of supply or 6 months from the date of the removal, whichever is earlier. Meaning thereby, when I am removing the goods, I can issue the goods, I can send the goods on the basis of the delivery challan, and in this case, tax invoice can be issued max to max 6 months from the date of the removal. This is like sales on approval basis. When I am removing the goods, it is not supply. मैं आपको माल भेज रहा हूं, बेच नहीं रहा. I am sending the goods, but I am not selling the goods to you. When this sale will be deemed to be taken place, either you give the acceptance that yes, Arun, goods is okay, I am accepting, I will issue the tax invoice at that time, or expiry of the 6 months from the date of the removal, whichever is earlier. So max to max, I can wait for 6 months. Whichever is later, that become the last date to issue the tax invoice. Correct? Is it okay? Let's move further. So just give me the quick answer for 2-3 questions. Let me ask the short question to you. What are the exception where I need to pay the GST on advance for supply of the goods? What are the exception where I need to pay the GST on advance for supply of the goods? Just give me the answer in the chat. I request that this time, please give the answer in the chat. So what is the answer? Correct. So fine. So I would request that only instead of writing only giving the online money gaming, please use the word specified actionable claim. Specified actionable claim. And online money gaming is goods or service? Online money gaming is goods or service?
Good, sir.
It is goods. It is goods. Do I need to pay the GST on actionable claim? Do I need to pay the GST on the actionable claim? Just give in the chat. If possible, give in the chat so that we can receive the answer for all the 3 participants. क्या मुझे एक्शनेबल क्लेम पर जीएसटी देना है? Do I need to pay the GST on the actionable claim? Just ask. Yes. What about Chitra? Do I need to pay the GST on the actionable claim? The answer is actionable claims are covered in the Schedule 3. Therefore, I am not required to pay the GST, but other than a specified actionable claim. Other than specified actionable claim. It means the 6 item which we have discussed, like casino, horse racing, etc. On these, I need to pay the GST, but otherwise, I'm not required to pay the GST on rest of the item. Great. Now one part. Just give me the answer in the chat only. Just give me the answer in the chat only. It says that as per section 31, the invoice needs to be issued either before or at the time of the removal of the goods or delivery of the goods, making goods available to the recipient in any other case. In any other case means when the supply involve the movement of the goods, then this provision would be applicable. If the supply does not involve the movement of the goods, then this clause would be applicable. When the supply does not involve the movement of the goods, give me the answer in the chat. Can I say the sale of building in which the supply take place but it does not involve the movement? This is my building, completed building. I am running my coaching center. I am selling to you. Now the sale of this building, completed building, will it get covered in this section 31 subsection 1 because invoice need to be issued before or at the time of removal, but it does not include the movement. Therefore, I can say it will covered in any other case. And when I have handed over, then I have issued the tax. I am required to issue the tax invoice. Can I say this? I involve the movement of the goods, perfectly okay. But if it does not include the movement, can I say, I'm asking the question, can I say that sale of this immovable property is the perfect example where supply does not involve the movement? Just give me the answer. Yes, no. If you are saying yes, perfectly okay. If you are saying no, give me the support to this answer. Okay. Sanjay, why you are saying no? Support. Okay. So Chitra has given the knee. Yogis has given the supporting. Okay. The answer is, where is the answer? I'm talking about time limit to issue the tax invoice for. We are talking about time limit to issue the tax invoice for goods. Time limit to issue the tax invoice for goods. Correct? And some time back, we have read the definition of goods. Sometime we have read the definition of the goods. And goods means every kind of movable property. And what I am selling you the building, completed building, which is immovable property. Can the immovable property be goods? Answer is no. It cannot be the goods. And therefore, I cannot give the example of the sale of immovable property under the time limit of the goods. Sanjay, right. See, because I am reading the time limit to issue the tax invoice for goods, therefore I am saying this is not the perfect place to talk about. Had it be under construction immovable property, that can be only taxed by treating the same as supply of the service. But as in my example, I told you completed building, then your answer is correct that it is covered in the schedule 3 and therefore taxability would not arise. Schedule 3, it covered the sale of land, and I can use the word completed building because they have written the subject to the para 5, something like that. Take na? Subject to the clause 5. I am saying that because it is covered in the negative list, schedule 3, not taxable. If it could be taxable, max to max, it can be under construction. That is also being treated as service, but we are reading the supply the goods. Therefore, sale of immovable property cannot be the example of 31 subsection 1. ठीक है? What could be the example? Now let's say this is my building. I sold you, but also there are some movable items. Movable item like there is a furniture, there's a projector, there's a computers, table. These are the movable item. But I sold you on as is where is basis. मतलब ये item यहाँ है, यहीं रहेगा. So in that case, it will not be removed after the our sale has happened. So therefore, it says that delivery or making goods available to the recipient in any other case. It means where there's a movable item, and I'm supplying to you, that is perfectly the goods, but it is not covered because it is not removed. Therefore, it will be get covered by here. Simple. I hope it is clear to you. Last question. What is the last date to issue the tax invoice for sales on approval? Give me the answer in the chat, so you all can participate with me. So what is the last date to issue the tax invoice in case of the sales on approval I am talking about? What is the last date to issue the tax invoice in case of the sales on approval? The answer is before or at the time of supply, or max to max 6 months from the date of the removal, whichever is earlier or later. Whichever is earlier or later. Whichever is earlier or later. Answer is earlier. Answer is earlier. One more question and then we'll take a short break. Payment date of payment when it has been entered. So this is the comparison of the two items. When I have received the payment is also the comparison of two dates. And can you help me to recall what are the two dates which will be used to determine the date on which I have received the payment? In case of the payment, we know that one is the invoice, one is the payment. So my question is, when I will be considered that I have received the payment from my recipient? Yes, absolutely correct, beta. Date of entry in the books of accounts, absolutely correct, or credited in the bank, whichever is earlier. We have talked about that there was a notification which says that you are not required to pay the GST on advance for supply the goods. Can you tell me, will it be also applicable in case of the section 14, or this concept is not applicable in case of the section 14? Applicable or not applicable means the relaxation is get extended to the section 14, or the relaxation by that notification. Which relaxation? No GST on advance for supply of the goods. Will that relaxation, no GST on advance for supply of the goods, be extended to the section 14 or not extended to the section 14? Sanjay, I was talking about section 14 and that is something different. Your answer is correct, but section 14 पर applicable है, benefit extended है या नहीं है? तो उसका आंसर है yes, extended है. What is the meaning? What is the interpretation? That we will discuss when I will teach you in the next class, section 14. Just take a short break of 10 minutes and then we'll again resume at 8:10. अशोक जी 10 मिनट का ब्रेक स्टार्ट कर दीजिए. for goods under forward charge. Now we are time of supply for goods under reverse charge. Can you give me any 2-3 example of these transactions where RCM is applicable? Now we are talking about time of supply of the goods under RCM. Can you give me any 2-3 example name item on which RCM is applicable for goods?
So GTA is one.
Okay.
Advocate services
Okay.
and
No problem. Any other answer?
Cash
Sorry,
in order.
आवाज नहीं आ रही यार.
Cash in order.
You can give me in the chat because your
So
I think
bad.
voice breaking, yaar. Voice is breaking. It is appreciated if you can give me in the chat some concern in the tobacco leaves. Sanjay ji, your answer is correct, but can I say that these examples are for services? And we are talking about goods only. As of now, what is the time of supply of the goods under reverse charge that we are discussing? So example for this would be the tobacco leaves, silk yarn, cashew nuts, BD wrapper, confiscated goods supplied by the government, priority sector lending certificate, and mentha oil. These are the item of goods which are under RCM. And that is being covered in the 12 subsection 3. In case of the RCM, very silly question I'm asking, who will pay the tax, supplier or the recipient? In case of the RCM, who will pay the tax to the government?
recipient.
A recipient. Correct? So it means we are talking about time of supply in the hand of recipient. We are talking about time of supply in the hand of recipient, not the supplier. Right? Again, it talks about the time of supply of reverse charge whichever is earlier. Date on which the goods are received, date on which the payment is entered in the books or credited in the bank, whichever is earlier. And third is the date immediately following 30 days. The date immediately following 30 days from the date of the issue of the invoice or any other document by whatever name called, provided if it is not possible to determine the time of supply by using any of these 3 parameters are not available, then the time of supply will be the date of entry. Date of entry in the books of recipient. मतलब क्या हुआ? See, I will calculate the time of supply by using concept of these 3 dates, whichever is earlier. Date on which the goods are received, date on which the payment is recorded in the books. Quickly give me the answer that why they are saying that payment is debited in the bank. In the last provision, we discussed about date on which the payment is credited in the banks or books of accounts, whichever is earlier. Here we are talking about debited. Why?
We have to
Because
pay
we
for
are
the
paying-
goods.
Because we are
The
talking about
recipient pays.
RCM transaction. Absolutely correct. And RCM will be paid by the recipient, and recipient will make the payment for expenditure. It will not the supply. It is the inward supply, and therefore he will make the payment. Because of that, the word debited is written. Absolutely correct. Next point, can I say that now this clause is irrelevant in most of the cases? Can I say this? The most of the cases this point is irrelevant. Why? The goods no GST on advance. After this concept benefit is extended with no GST on advance for goods, can I say that this clause become redundant or it is still applicable? What do you think? Give me in the chat. Try to give me in the chat so all three can participate. अगर हो सके तो कोशिश कीजिए चैट में रिप्लाई कीजिए ताकि मुझे योगेश का, चित्रा का एंड संजय आपका तीनों का आंसर मुझे देख सके. ठीक है. Okay, so Yogesh, you mean to say this is means GST is payable on advance or not payable on advance? Just give me in that way. Will the GST is payable on advance or not payable on advance? So let's say I have received the cashew nuts and I've given only the advance. What is your answer? Will the GST is applicable or not applicable? GST is payable or not payable? Yet to receive the answer from other participant. Very nice, Yogesh and Chitra. Very nice. Why? Because you are saying, and you are perfectly saying, that benefit of that notification is given only on section 12 subsection 2. That is not for all the cases of goods. It is only the case of the goods where forward charge is applicable. 12.3, we are talking about RCM, which is getting covered by 12.3, and that notification is only for 12.2. Therefore, no relaxation, the GST would be payable. Absolutely correct. And in various time, in multiple time, this confusion comes. So, बहुत अच्छी बात है आपकी. Very good point. Great. Now the third point, date immediately following 30 days. From the date of invoice or document by some other name in lieu of the invoice by the supplier. So whatever the document which will be issued by the supplier, we will add 31 days. Why I am saying 31? Because they have written the word following 30. 30 के बाद वाला दिन, so I can say 31. I can say 31st. And if it is not possible to determine because we do not have the date of payment, we do not have the date of invoice, date on which the goods has been received. So what we will take? Date of entry in the books, date of entry of receipt of the goods. Okay. Okay, it is written. Let's read the example. B Limited sell the goods to C Limited on 4th June. The goods are taxable under RCM. Invoice for the same is issued on 4th June. C Limited receive the goods on 12th June. C Limited record the payment on 30th June, and the same is debited on 2nd July. Now the time of supply is whichever is earlier. 4th June, 12th June, or 2nd July, whichever is earlier, or 30th June. Is there any problem? Can you just help me? The date of receipt of the goods. Can you please help me? Just 3 date. Can you please help me? That 3 date. I know that I'm taking the example of the study material. Please ignore the same. Just give me the answer. कि वो तीन डेट कौन सी जिसका whichever is earlier we will follow that. Just give me the 3 date whichever is earlier. I will take that. The first date is the very simple date of receipt of the goods. I can say 12th June. What about the second date? Second date is date of payment. When I have made the entry in the books or when it is debited, whichever is earlier. So the answer is 30th June. What is the third date? What is the third date? तीसरा डेट क्या होगा? 4th June. So I can say 4th June date of invoice plus I will add 31 days. I will add 31 days. I will add 31 days. So whatever it comes, you can say it will be probably 4th July or 5th July. Count the days, number of days, and then it will come. So first is 12th June, then 30th June, then 4th July or 5th July, whichever is earlier, and therefore I can say that 12th June would be the earliest.
Sir, for calculating 31 days, we should add 4th June also.
You will add 4th June also.
But 4th June, 5th June, 6th June, right, sir?
See, 5th June को एक दिन हुआ, 6th को एक हुआ, 7th को. Sorry, थोड़ा सा आवाज ब्रेक हो गया. Can you please repeat once again?
सर, सी पॉइंट के लिए 31 डेज के लिए कैलकुलेशन करने के लिए क्या हम 4th जून को भी ऐड करके चलेंगे सर? 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th.
See,
या
when you
5,
add
6, 7.
when you add 31 days, ठीक है ना? So 31 plus 4 answer is 35 days. 35th आ गया, करेक्ट ना? 35th में जून कितने का? 30 दिन का, राइट?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
So out of that, so minus 30, then it will become the 5th July.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
But हम ना next class में ना practical problem भी ले लेंगे. We will take some more practical problem considering the मतलब see exams या जो भी better practical problem है, and we'll try to solve that. ठीक है, तो हमारा ये कॉन्सेप्ट थोड़ा और डेवलप हो जाएगा, बेटर तरीके से डेवलप हो जाएगा. विल टेक द प्रैक्टिकल एग्जांपल.
ओके.
2-3 परमुटेशन कॉम्बिनेशन बनता है इस डेट्स में, एंड आई विल टेक ऑल 3. ठीक है. नाउ फाइन, दैट इज ओके. सो नाउ द टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई फॉर द वाउचर्स. So this point was very debatable since beginning. When it was inserted in the law, section 12 subsection, it was since beginning. What is the vouchers? So they are saying that taxability of the voucher would depend upon whether voucher is identifiable or not. Identifiable means, for example, I have given the voucher. So I am Big Bazaar and I've given the vouchers of let's say grocery item of 5,000 rupees. Means I know that you can purchase only the grocery item and that to be which is taxable at 5%. Assume that. In that case, the voucher which is identifiable, then the taxability of that voucher would arise on the date of issuance, not on the date of the redemption. Even though you comes after 6 months and take the goods from me, no problem, but I will pay the GST at the time of today when I am issuing the vouchers. And second case, when the time of supply, if the voucher is not identifiable, let's say I've given the voucher of the 5,000 rupees, and you can purchase whatever you want from the big bazaar. It means you can purchase the item of exempted, you can purchase the item of taxable at 5%, 18, 28, whatever. Meaning thereby, in this case, when the voucher is not identifiable, the taxability would shift to the date of the redemption. But that point was debatable. It was discussed in some of the advanced ruling, and later on it has been discussed in the High Court also. And finally, the CBIC has given the circular and also the withdrawal the provisions. What is the taxability of the voucher? Just park today. In the next class, I will discuss that circular also, and I will discuss the voucher ka problem also. By they have given the reference of voucher as per the RBI definition. So that all we'll discuss. So 12 subsection 4, we are not going to discuss right now. We will discuss all angle in the next class. Okay. Now the residuary clause. Residuary clause means you are not able to determine the time of supply either under forward charge or under reverse charge or voucher. If you are not able to determine the time of supply by any of the provision because of any reason, then the time of supply would be determined according to the residuary clause. Residuary clause says that the time of supply will be the due date of filing of the periodical return if there is no return applicable for the periodically. Like if you talk about composition dealer are required to file the return only once in a year. If we talk about the composition dealer, they require to file the GSTR for only after the end of the year. Earlier it was 30th April, now 30th June. They need to pay the tax through CMP 08, only the taxes part. That is a statement. But no periodical return applicable. In that case, we can say the time of supply would be applicable the date on which the GST is paid. If periodical return is applicable, like let's say I'm a monthly and regular taxpayer, I need to file the return by 20th of every month. Okay. And if no periodical return is applicable, then let's say I'm a composition dealer, I need to pay the GST on quarterly basis by 18th of end of the next quarter and 18th of the month following the end of the quarter. So there are the 2 points. When the residuary clause would be applicable if in any situation I not able to determine the time of supply either under forward charge 12 subsection 2 or reverse charge 12 subsection 3 or voucher 12 subsection 4. For the time being, I am considering the voucher ka provision. Just wait for one more class and I will discuss all the angle of the vouchers. Okay. If the now time of supply for 12 subsection 6. See, if I talk about the residuary clause, I can say there are the 2 residuary clause. One residuary clause we have already discussed in the RCM. One residuary clause we have already discussed in the RCM. If the transaction is RCM, but you are not in the position to calculate the above three, then they are giving the residuary provision within that section itself, that you can treat the time of supply, date of entry of goods in the books of accounts. Very simple. And second residuary clause we have discussed right now. Last 12 subsection 6 we are talking about. Now you tell me, based on your understanding, whether GST is payable on interest. Let's say I'm receiving the bank interest. Do I need to pay the GST?
Yes.
Interest. Do I need to pay the GST? Bank
Yes,
interest
interest
are
taxable.
sorry,
Yes. Yes, we have to pay GST.
on bank interest.
Then on loan, interest
Loans,
on
advances,
loan.
etc. So I have
Yes.
received the loan of 10 lakh rupees from the, let's say, ICAI bank, on which I'm paying the interest. Do they charge GST on that interest? No problem.
No,
Answer
sir.
is exempted. These are exempted in the GST except the credit card. तो संजय जो आप कह रहे हैं बेटा, वो that is applicable for credit card, no problem. So meaning thereby, normally the interest is exempted on the long-term loan, advances, etc. But if it is credit card, then it is taxable. Fine. Whether next question. So that part is completed. Next point I like to ask before reading the provision of the 12 subsection 6. Whether GST is payable on accrual basis or on cash basis. See, if I have sent the goods, I have removed the goods, I have issued the tax invoice, do I need to pay the GST, or when you actually make the payment, then only I need to pay the GST? GST कब पे करना है? Accrual basis पे, जब मैंने invoice issue कर दिया, or when I receive the cash, then only I need to pay the GST. Cash means collection from customer. The answer is yes. Yogesh has given the answer. What about Chitra and Sanjay?
On accrual basis.
On accrual basis. So fine. So whichever is earlier, that Chitra, that is okay. So meaning thereby, if I have received the amount after 3 months, I need to pay the GST right now only on the basis of the time of supply, which we have discussed. It means if the payment is not received right now, come later on or not at all come, I will discharge my GST liability. Is there any exception to that? Any exception to that according to your understanding? कोई ऐसा ट्रांजेक्शन जहां पे जीएसटी मुझे कैश पे देना है इंस्टेड ऑफ अक्रूवल? Any exception to this where I need to discharge the GST liability on cash basis, not on accrual basis? Yes, that we are going to discuss. This is the exception. Thank you, Yogesh. This is the exception, that interest or late fees. For what? This is not for long-term loan or advances, because had it be long-term loan or advances, it will not be taxable at all. If the interest or late fees is being charged for the delayed payment of consideration, means I have sold the goods to my customer worth of rupees 1 lakh. I raised the invoice, supplied the goods. My payment term says that you need to make that payment within 30 days. If not, then for every month I will charge 500 rupees extra. Let's say my customer is making the payment after 3 months, then I'm charging 1000 rupees extra in addition. That 1000 rupees is being paid, or 1500, let's take 1500, not 1000. This amount is being paid by my customer after 6 months. I've issued the debit note or tax invoice, whatever, on the receipt of the actual payment, 1 lakh rupees. So my value of the interest is decided, that is 1500, let's say. But this 1500 is coming after 6 months, after 3 months, whatever the time. The time of supply of this addition in the value 1000 rupees, 1500 rupees, जो मैंने ये एक्स्ट्रा चार्ज किया है, इसका टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई विल बी shifted to the actual receipt, not the date of raising the tax invoice for 1000 rupees. Correct? Prescribe the time of supply in case of the addition in the values, interest, late fees, penalty. Always remember for delayed payment of consideration. Why we require to remember? Because for delayed payment of consideration is taxable. If it is a long-term loan, advances, etc., interest is itself exempted, which you have already discussed. Okay. The date on which the supplier receives such addition in the value, that will be the time of supply. I hope it is clear. Everyone is clear. We have completed the time of supply for the goods. Now we are moving to the time of supply for services. Okay. Time of supply for services is almost similar to what we have discussed time of supply for goods. There is a different for forward charge, there is a different for reverse charge. Voucher we will discuss in the next class, but last two provision, which two provision? The delayed payment of any consideration and the residuary clause. It is exactly same for goods and for services. So I can say that 12 subsection 5 is exactly similar to the 13 subsection 5, and 12 subsection 6 is exactly similar to the 13 subsection 6. So दो provision हमारे already हो चुके हैं. Voucher we will discuss in the next class. In the today class, we need to discuss only two provisions, and then depend upon the time we will discuss if any. What are the two provisions? The two provisions are, first provision is forward charge, and second provision is RCM. Let's move to the forward charge. How? 13. The liability to pay the tax on services shall arise at the time of supply as determined in the provision of this section. Sorry. 12 subsection 13 subsection 2. It says that time of supply shall be earliest of the following date. Date of invoice by the supplier, if the invoice is issued within prescribed time under section 31, or the date of the payment, whichever is earlier. Means we have discussed in the last time also, the date of the receipt of the payment is relevant, is applicable in case of the services. Why? Because that notification has extended the benefit only to the 12 subsection 2, and time of supply for services under forward charge is covered in the 13 subsection 2. Therefore, we can say, yes, the date of the receipt of the payment is applicable in this case. So what is the time of supply? So it has been divided into part, whether invoice has been issued or not issued. If invoice has been issued, then I can say if the invoice is issued within the prescribed time of section 31, what is the time limit that we will discuss in some time. But if the invoice is issued within the prescribed time of 31, then we will consider the date of invoice or payment, whichever is earlier. If the invoice is not issued within the prescribed time of section 31, then we will not consider the date of invoice. We will consider the date of the provision of service or payment, whichever is earlier. And third is the date on which the supplier shows the receipt of the services in the books in case where the clause A or the clause B does not apply. मतलब क्या हुआ? अगर मैंने invoice issue ही नहीं किया, see, in the clause A, I have issued the invoice within time limit. In the clause B, I have issued the invoice after the due date. In the clause C, it says that A and B both are not applicable. मतलब I have not issued the invoice at all. The date of issue of invoice by the supplier, if the invoice is issued within the time limit, or payment, whichever is earlier. If the invoice is not issued within time limit, then date of the provision of the service or receipt of the payment, whichever is earlier. And third is, if invoice is not at all issued, then I can say the date on which the recipient shows the receipt of the service in the books of accounts. Again, the 1,000 rupees ka relaxation is applicable if the advance is being received up to 1,000 rupees in case of amount indicated in the tax invoice. The type of supply shall be at the option of the supplier. It means I being a supplier, I have the option. I can pay the GST right now also, or I can pay the GST later on when I will issue the tax invoice against this advance. When I will make the supply, I'm issuing the invoice, I can pay the GST at that point of time. The supply shall be deemed to have been taken place to the extent it is covered by the invoice or as the case may be by the payment. I hope there is no ambiguity in this explanation because we have already discussed in length, in detail, that explanation 1, it is applicable for turnover purpose, it is applicable for ITC purpose also, and it is applicable for, because it is services, so yes, payment is also relevant here. The date of receipt of payment again shall be the date on which the payment is entered in the books of accounts, or date on which the payment is entered in the books of accounts, or the date on which payment is credited in the bank account, whichever is earlier. Now let's move to understand what is the last date to issue the tax invoice. Just allow me 1 minute. In case of services, I can say please divide in 3 parts. 3 part means normal case, special case, and in case of distinct person. Normal case, special transaction like banking company, financial institution, NBFC, and third is distinct, and that is also applicable to some sector. The 31 subsection 2 says that normally the invoice will be issued within 30 days, or if it is a banking company, underline the word insurance company. Rest are banking related, banking, NBFC, FI. So normally time limit is 30 days. Otherwise, if it is a banking company, insurance, financial institution, NBFC, then time limit would be 45 days. Now these sector, these category of the business, add one more, plus telecom. Add one more, telecom. These telecom, insurance or banking, if these entities are issuing the invoice to the distinct person, can you tell me why the transaction become distinct person is taxable in the GST? Just give me in the chat. Just give me in the chat why the transaction between the distinct person is taxable in the GST. Also, tell me the meaning of distinct person. Also, please tell me the meaning of the distinct person. What is the meaning of the distinct person? Okay. Okay. So fine. You have given the answer that what is the meaning of the distinct person. Now tell me why the transaction between the distinct person is taxable in the GST. Why the transaction is taxable? Why the transaction between distinct person is taxable in the GST? Because they are the same organization. Then why it is taxable? Why it is taxable? Give me the legal reasoning. So that is okay, because see, whatever the reason that you've given is okay, but I need some legal reasoning. Okay. Okay, Sanjay. To some extent I am agreeing. अभी तक complete answer नहीं मिला मुझे. I have not received the complete answer. Yes. Very nice, Yogesh. Very nice. According to Schedule 1, Para 2 says that transaction between distinct person and related person. Transaction between distinct person and related person become taxable even without consideration. Schedule 1 talks about the supply even without consideration. Correct. Schedule 1 talks about the supply without consideration. And because Para 2 talks about that if in the distinct person there is no consideration, then also the taxability would arise. See, normally when you read the supply chapter, what are the two important pillars for the supply? Can you please help me to recall what are the two important pillars to constitute a transaction as supply? दो important pillar कौन से हैं जिसके कारण हम किसी transaction को कहते हैं कि ये supply है? One is business and second is consideration. Thank you, Yogesh. One is business, second is consideration. And if anyone is missing, will it be taxable? The prima facie answer would be no. No. These both parameter has to be there. Both item element has to be there in a transaction to constitute the transaction as supply. But the exception of the consideration is being given in the schedule 1. Today we are not going to discuss the schedule 1. There are 4 entries, but I like to highlight only the distinct person is being covered in the para 2, and therefore this become taxable. See, normally in the one pen multiple GST like branch head office, there would be no consideration flowing, obviously, correct? So why without consideration the transaction become taxable? It become taxable because of the schedule 1. So just my suggestion to all of you, this type of the slight interlinking would always help you to have the better grip on the IDT. ये ना interlinking है ना बहुत जरूरी है. See, try to build up that interlinking. It might take some time, but it will be definitely be developed. When it will be developed now, you will have the much more clarity on the subject and the grip, the command on this subject, and you can score very good number. What was the scores in the indirect tax of CA Inter? एक ही पेपर होता था. Just tell me total amount, total scores, yeah, total marks achieved in the taxation paper. If shareable, you can share 1-to-1 to me instead of publicly. Just tell me. I will obviously not use the scores. So I can say that if you have the better grip now, you can easily get the distinction marks. So it was very good. Sanjay, Yogesh, it was very good number. Similarly, my suggestion would be that you all the participants, whomsoever is watching the lecture right now or at a later stage, can get the good marks in the IDT, can use this IDT book, IDT subject as passing the entire group. It will help a lot, but only point that need the grip, need the attend the attentive classes, whether myself or whatever you are doing, plus solve the practical problem. Okay. Now let's move further. So time limit, what is the time limit? The invoice may be issued in case of the distinct person I'm talking about. Invoice may be issued before or at the time of recording such supply in the books or before the expiry of the quarter during which supply was made. Now see, there are the 3 dates which we have discussed. 30 days normally, 45 days in case of banking company and insurance company, and same in case of the banking company, insurance, plus one more sector, kindly add insurance, that if they are doing the transaction with the distinct person, they can issue the invoice within quarter, max to max. So at the time of recording, the same in the books or before the expect the quarter or in which supply was made, second proviso to the rule 47. Just tell me one answer. Just give me the answer to the one question. I am insurance company. I am doing the supply with let's say XYZ Limited. Obviously, it is not related party or anything. I'm not getting it complex. It is a normal transaction. What is the time limit to issue the tax invoice? 30 days or 45 days or 1 quarter? I am insurance company. I am doing the transaction with XYZ Limited, let's say insurance policies for the entire employees, for which I am issuing the tax invoice. What is the time limit to issue the tax invoice? 30 days, 45 days, or 1 quarter? 30 days, 45 days or 1 quarter? Fine. Let's take another example. I am Bharti Airtel. And I'm issuing the invoice to XYZ Limited. Monthly billing. And what would be the time limit? Will it be 30 days? Will it be 45 days? Assume that it is not continuous supply of service. Assume that it is not continuous supply of the service. Continuous supply of the service we are going to read. Let's say it is a one-time transaction. You have done the top-up recharge from me. Question is, time limit would be 30 or 45 or 1 quarter. In this case, the time limit would be 30 days. Why I have discussed this question? Just I like to highlight one part. In case of the 45 days, they have covered insurance and banking. In case of the 1 quarter distinct person transaction, they have covered insurance, banking, and additionally telecom companies. So it means telecom companies are not covered in the 45 days provision. It means normal time limit of 30 days would be applicable to the telecom. That's point I like to highlight. I hope it is clear. So let's take a small break of 10 minutes again, and then we will discuss the continuous supply the service. Let's Ashok ji 10 मिनट का ब्रेक स्टार्ट कर दीजिए. We will start again after 10 minutes. continuous supply of the service, what is the time limit? And I told you one difference between the continuous supply of the goods and continuous supply of the service. What was that difference? मैंने एक डिफरेंस का आपके साथ बात किया था, कंटिन्यूस सप्लाई द गुड्स एंड कंटिन्यूस सप्लाई द सर्विस.
Minimum days. Minimum continuous days should be 90 days for services.
Yes. And what about goods?
No such minimum days.
No such minimum time limit. Absolutely correct. In case of continuous supply of the service, invoice should be issued on or before the due date, where the due date of the, see, now the divide in three part, the continuous supply of the service. If the due date is ascertainable from the contract, due date of the payment, then on or before the due date, invoice can be issued. Second, if the due date is not known at all, then actual payment. Third is when the payment is linked to the completion of an event. What could be the perfect example? The perfect example could be construction contract. Absolutely correct, Chitra. Construction means, suppose the flat, like under construction flat ka sale. So they are making the payment 20% at the time of the booking, then additional 20% when the construction floor is completed, additional 20% when the tiles, etc. will be installed, and then 10% when the furniture fixtures will be ready to hand over will be given, and the balance will be given on actual handover. So it means when the date of the payment, due date of the payment is linked to the completion of an event, then in that case on or before the completion of that milestone event. Continuous supply of the service are provided or agreed to be provided on continuously or on recurrent basis under a contract for a period exceeding 3 months. One point always remember, where the days is being written and where the months are written. With periodical payment obligation and include the supply of the service as the government may notify. The set term has been discussed in this chapter alone. Next point, cessation. In case before the completion the contract is being cancelled, supply has been ended before the completion, then to the extent of the supply made before such cessation, you have to issue the tax invoice. Now there is one NHAI model for which they have given the good clarity. We have to discuss in detail. Okay. Clarity on that time of supply in case of supply the service of the construction of the road and maintenance by National Highway Authority of India, okay, in the hybrid annuity model. So there are various models in which road is being constructed. There can be the DBOT module, design, build, operate, and then transfer. There can be the hybrid annuity model. So there are multiple models, out of which there is one clarification for hybrid annuity model, HAM model we are saying. Under the HAM model of NHAI, the concessioner, what is the meaning of concessioner? So let's say the National Highway Authority has given the contract to me for constructing that road. So I become the concessioner. Who is the contractor, I can say. To understand the layman language, the contractor has to construct the new road, provide the O&M facility. What is the O&M facility? So when I will construct the road, it will require the maintenance also now. So for example, I have constructed the road, and on the toll plaza, I have constructed some health services, etc., medical facilities, and on every half kilometer I have constructed the I have built up that particular, provided that light, etc. I have given some crane facility. I have given some developed the way bridge also. So that requires the regular maintenance. So I am constructing the road, big project, and then I am providing the O&M facility also, operation and maintenance, which require 15 to 17 years, and the payment is spread over the years. What is the time of supply for the purpose of payment of tax on the said supply under the HAM model? So there are multiple discussion, multiple notices are being issued on this particular concept, and after that this clarification has been given by the CBIC, because this value of the contract would be very sizable, like 1,000 crore contract, 700 crore contract. So any ambiguity or any difference in the opinion will create the huge liability of tax as well as interest and penalty also. Okay. What is the clarification? Under the HAM model of agreement, concession agreement, so that agreement between myself and NHI is called as concession agreement. I will be called as concessioner. Okay. The highway development project are DBOT. DBOT means designed, build, operate, and then transfer. Transfer to whom? Obviously, it is the property of. It is the property of
NHAI.
NHI only. So I have to transfer that property, wherein the concessioner is required to undertake the new construction of the highway as well as O&M of the highway. I will use the word O&M in short, operation and maintenance. The payment terms as well as the O&M portion of the contract are provided in the agreement. This is the circular 221. I think. A HAM contract is a single contract for construction as well as O&M. The payment terms are so staggered that concessioner is held accountable for the repair and maintenance of the highway as well. The contract need to be looked at holistically based on the service to be performed by the concessioner and cannot be artificially split into the contract like construction work and O&M work. So there is a 10-15 year. So probably I will construct the road in 2 to 3 years. Major portion of the contract would be definitely for the construction, and there would be the small portion for the O&M. So this circular says that you cannot artificially divide into contract. If there is a single contract, you have to see the holistically as a single contract. You cannot say that because construction of the road consists of, let's say, sizable 80%. So 80% will become taxable in 2 years. It says that for construction and operation based on the payment terms, the concessioner is found bound contractually to complete not only the construction but also to the O&M. In the HAM contract, the payment is spread over the contract in installment, and the payment of each installment is to be made after a specified period or on completion of an event as specified in the contract. The same appear to be covered under the continuous supply of the service as defined in section 233. So one part is clear, that my HAM contract would be called as continuous supply of the service. Okay. Accordingly, 13.2 and 31 subsection 5, the time of supply of the service under the HAM contract, including construction and OM, if the invoice is issued on or before the specified date or the date of the completion of the event, whichever is earlier. So time of supply will be date of invoice or the date of the payment, whichever is earlier. If the invoice is not issued within the time limit, then I will say the date of invoice would be ignored and actual date of the provision of the service would be considered. Okay. And third is, in case of the continuous supply of the service, the date of the provision of the service may be deemed as the due date of the payment as per the contract. As the invoice is required to be issued on or before the due date of payment as per the provision. So what is the date of the provision of the service? May be deemed as the due date of the payment. Okay. It is also clarified that as the installment or annuity payable by the NHI to the concessionaire also includes some interest component. The amount of the interest shall also be included in the taxable value for the purpose of payment of tax on the said annuity or installment in view of the provision of 15(2)(d). So when you read the value of the supply in the 15 subsection 2, you will understand that 5 things to be added in the value, out of which one part is interest. One part is interest will be added in the value. Interest, which interest? Same interest which we have discussed in the 12 subsection 6. Interest for the please complete my sentence. Interest for the
Delay in payment of consideration.
correct. Interest for the delayed payment of any consideration would be added in the value in the 15 subsection 2 clause D and will be taxable as per whatever we have discussed, 13(6) or 12(6). I hope it is clear. Very, very nice circular, very nice clarification. And then let's read some of the question. A Limited provides service to the B Limited on 10th June. A Limited issued the invoice for the supply on 15th June. Payment is received in the bank account on 20th June and recorded in the books on 30th June. Date of the receipt of the payment is 20th June. Now tell me, what is the time of supply? Just to complete one quick revision, something like that. Can you tell me the 3 date or 2 date, whatever the date are applicable, how the time of supply would be calculated? So 2 or 3 date, whatever, what are you considering? Which date you are considering, kindly confirm in that chat only, not speak. I would request that kindly confirm over the chat. Sanjay, Saurabh, Chitra and Yogesh, all. A provide the service to the B. A Limited issue the invoice for the service on 15th. Payment is being received in the bank on 20th and is being entered in the books of account on 30th. So it is a single transaction, so not continuous supply the service. Okay. So tell me the date which you compare. So tell me first whether invoice has been issued within time or after the due date. Whether invoice has been issued within the due date or after the due date. इनवॉइस जो यहाँ पे इश्यू किया है that was issued within the due date or after the due date? Answer is within due date. What are the due date? Will it 30 days or will it 45 days or will it 1 quarter? In this case, you are considering 30, 45 or 1 quarter? Right. So 30 days. So 10th of June, he has rendered completed the services. Within 30 days, he has to issue. So he has issued 15 June. No problem. Within 5 days, he has issued. So within due date. And if it is within due date, what are the time of supply? What is the time of supply? Date of? What are the 2 dates which we consider?
Invoice. Date of invoice.
Date of invoice or date of payment.
Date of payment.
What are the date of invoice? 15 June. And payment date, please confirm in the chat. Please confirm in the chat. Date of the payment would be 10th June, 15 June, 20 June or 30 June. Please confirm in the chat कि date of payment क्या होगा? 15 तारीख होगा, 20 तारीख होगा, 30 तारीख होगा, 10 तारीख होगा? The answer is whichever is earlier, 20 or 30, whichever is earlier. Correct? Absolutely correct. So you are comparing 15th and 20 June, and what is the time of supply? So therefore it becomes the time of supply 15th or 20th. The answer is 15th June. Okay. Just see I think almost same, huh? See this question. Just tell me in this question whether this supplier has issued the invoice within time or after the time. A Limited provide the service on this date, invoice has been issued on this date, payment is received on this date, and entry has been made in the books of account on this date. Tell me whether the invoice was issued within time or after the time, within due date or after the due date. The answer is this time the invoice was issued after the due date. After the due date. So, will you consider the date of invoice for the purpose of calculation of time of supply? Will you consider the date of invoice for the purpose of time of supply? Will you consider this date for the purpose of time of supply? The answer is no. Are you considering the date of invoice in this question? Are you considering the date of invoice in this question at all? Overall, is there any use of the date of invoice? Let me ask the question in another way. Is there any use of the date of invoice in this question? इस क्वेश्चन में डेट ऑफ इनवॉइस का कोई रिलेवेंस है भले किसी भी एंगल से. आई एम आस्किंग ओवरऑल, इज देयर एनी बेनिफिट ऑफ दिस डेट ऑफ इनवॉइस? कुछ तो है, कुछ भी नहीं है, बिल्कुल नहीं है. आंसर इज नॉट फॉर द टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई. Obviously not for the time of supply, but to consider whether invoice has been issued within the due date or after the due date. What is the relevance of this date of invoice? To decide whether it is issued within the due date or not, we will consider, and after deciding if it is after the due date, we will ignore the date of issue of tax invoice because it is after the due date. हाँ, absolutely correct, Sanjay. ठीक है. Then what is the answer? What is the answer? Time of supply. What is the answer for time of supply? Danger. ठीक है. If amount is received 1000 rupees extra from the invoice value, then again we have already discussed at the option of the supplier, he may discharge the tax liability at a later date or he may discharge the tax liability now only. It is up to him only. Now let's read the time of supply for reverse charge. Now all the example that you've given, like GTA service, advocate, director, government services, all will come applicable here because now we are talking about services. Based on your understanding, I have not completed as of now. Just I'm asking the question based on your current understanding. Please let me know. Please let me know the name of the two document which is required in case of the reverse charge. Name of the two document which is required in case of the reverse charge. Recipient is required to prepare in case of the reverse charge. So I'm writing different. So you may please answer in the chat. एक बार आप लोग आंसर दीजिए कि वो कौन से 2 डॉक्यूमेंट है। दो डॉक्यूमेंट का नाम बता दीजिए, देन आई विल एक्सटेंड माय क्वेश्चन। अभी मैं एक्सप्लेन करूंगा मैं क्या लिख रहा हूं, बट मुझे पहले 2 डॉक्यूमेंट का नाम तो बताइए। विच आर द नेम ऑफ द 2 डॉक्यूमेंट विल बी इशूड नॉर्मली इन केस ऑफ द आरसीएम। रिसिपिएंट संजय, रिसिपिएंट। ओ नो आंसर, just
Payment
giving
voucher,
you payment voucher.
tax invoice, which RCM is paid, tax invoice.
कुछ और बोलते हैं उसको, something different we are talking about in the layman language. Again, this wording is not there. Whatever the answer I'm expecting, that is not there in the law. Absolutely correct. So tax invoice is also correct, but normally we are calling something different. We are using the word self invoice.
Self invoice.
Correct. Huh? So now you all please write in the chat. I request please write in the chat 1, 2, 3, 4. You just need to simply tell me self invoice is applicable if supplier is registered. Yes, no. If supplier is unregistered, yes, no. Payment voucher is applicable if supplier is registered, yes, no, or unregistered, yes, no. So please give the answer 1, 2, 3, 4 as YN, YN. So over to you. I'm giving you 2 minutes. So please give in the chat only. Oh, yes to all. Great. And yes, yes, yes. So Yogesh, you are also saying yes to all. Okay, Chitra, you are also saying. Okay, Chitra is different. So right, let me discuss that part and then we'll move to the time of supply. See, answer of Chitra is correct. Answer of Chitra is correct. What is the difference? Yes, 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 and this is no. Thank you, Chitra. Self-invoice would not be applicable if supplier is registered and tax is applicable under the reverse charge. See, point number 1, if the supplier is registered in the GST, then it is his obligation to issue the tax invoice. एक बात आप ध्यान रखना कि मान लो मैं कोई जीटीए से सर्विस ले रहा हूं और वो जीटीए रजिस्टर्ड है, उसको टैक्स इनवॉइस इश्यू करना पड़ेगा. That is okay that I will pay that tax in the reverse charge. That is different thing. But because वो registered है GST में, उसे GST invoice issue करना पड़ेगा उसे जीएसटी रिटर्न फाइल करने पड़ेंगे, एवरीथिंग ही हैज टू डू। ठीक है, आई होप इट इज क्लियर टू ऑल। अब यहां पर क्या हुआ, सी Saurabh, are you there? Are you able to understand? So because I only expect from every one of you slight interaction would give the uh, added advantage for the outcome of the class. That is the only things which I'm expecting, that kindly give the revert. Whether it is correct or not, that doesn't matter. बट मैंने क्या फील किया, जब कोई चीज हम डिस्कशन करते हैं ना क्वेश्चन आंसर के रूप में, वो चीज हमारी ना लॉन्ग टर्म मेमोरी में सेट हो जाती है। इट विल हेल्प अस इन द टर्म्स ऑफ एग्जाम। अगर आप अभी इंटरेक्शन कर रहे हैं ना, इस इंटरेक्शन का सबसे बड़ा बेनिफिट क्या होगा, जब आप एग्जाम में राइट करेंगे, यू माइट फॉरगॉट द प्रोविजन बट यू विल रिमेंबर दिस डिस्कशन ऑलवेज। आप अगर आंसर दे रहे हैं वो इनकरेक्ट है, तो जो रीजनिंग हम डिस्कस करते हैं वो रीजनिंग आपको लॉन्ग टर्म मेमोरी में सेट हो जाएगी। इट विल रिमेन टिल द एग्जाम्स। आई हैव नोटिस दैट। ठीक है, चलो सर। सो अब हम बात करते हैं टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई ऑफ द सर्विस अंडर रिवर्स चार्ज। क्विकली टेल मी what was the time of supply of the goods under reverse charge? What was the time of supply of the goods under reverse charge? Earliest of below 3. You mean this? Okay. Just give me in the chat. अगर goods होता तो what was the time of supply? And then we will compare with the service and we'll have the more clarity. Any answer for the goods? ठीक है बेटा, बहुत बढ़िया, वेरी नाइस। Date of receipt, date of payment, recording, from the suppliers. Perfectly, better. Perfect. There is one amendment in services that we will discuss in the next class. But क्या है अभी गुड्स के केस में तो बड़ा सिंपल है ना। फर्स्ट इज डेट ऑफ रिसीट ऑफ गुड्स। हम सर्विस का कंपेयर कर रहे हैं, ये नहीं है, ठीक है। सेकंड वाज डेट ऑफ पेमेंट। व्हाट इज द डेट ऑफ पेमेंट? रिकॉर्डिंग इन द बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स और credit in the bank, whichever is earlier. Same is applicable for services. And third is date of invoice plus 30 days following. Either you use the word following, it would be better, following 30 days, or in the calculation you can add 31 days. And यहाँ पर हम क्या करेंगे, date of invoice plus 60 days, मतलब again following 60 days या 61 days you can say. Rest, see, this is the comparison. In the goods, we have discussed 3 provision. Date of receipt of the goods. In the services, this provision is not applicable. Rest, these 2 dates are also exist in the service. One is date of payment. Yes. In the service is also the date of payment. Last is date of invoice or any other document issued by the supplier. Date of invoice or any other document issued by the supplier plus following 30 days. So here same provision is applicable, but instead of 30 days, 60 days. Now there is an amendment. What is the amendment? We will discuss in the next class. So I have left one amendment of 12 subsection 4 and 13 subsection 4 voucher. One amendment for this we will discuss, and then we will also discuss the section 14 case also. ठीक है, same If it is not possible to determine by using the TOS, time of supply, in any of the above parameter, then what will be the time of supply? Date of entry in the books for receipt of services. What is the meaning of date of payment? Date of payment will be whichever is earlier. Earlier means date when I am passing the accounting entry in my books of accounts, or date on which the payment is debited. Again, the word debited, it is clear. And you only told me that why the word debited is there, because we are talking about the recipient. We are talking about the recipient. Therefore, the word debited is there. Correct? Now let's read one more clarification. Spectrum uses and any and other similar services under GST. What was the circular number? 222. इसके पहले हमने 221 रीड करता, अब 222. Again, circular number is not important. To remember the circular number is not at all important. I would say that not at all give the attention to the circular, because frankly speaking, when the examination copy checking is being done, I feel that instead of using the circular number, concept is clearly explained. If the concept is clearly explained, it will work a lot. There is no separate allocation for the adding the section number, circular number, etc. कोई भी reference नहीं है, कोई भी use नहीं है. आप दो या मत दो, ये आपका satisfaction है, nothing else. Under the spectrum allocation model followed by the DOT. DOT means Department of Telecommunication. Bidder, telecom operator like ITL, Bharti Airtel, Jio, bids for securing the right to use a spectrum offered by the government. Here, who is the service provider? DOT. Government of India through DOT. And who is the recipient? Bidder or telecom operator like Airtel. The GST is discharged on the supply the spectrum allocation service by the recipient on reverse charge. Why reverse charge? Can anybody tell me why it is under the reverse charge? Can anybody tell me why it is under the reverse charge?
Services provided to the government.
By the government, not to the, na? Services provided by the government. Absolutely correct. Because यहाँ पे render कौन कर रहा है service? Government. Any exception to that? Services provided by the government, recipient will pay the tax under reverse charge. Any exception to that? That in this case, services by government will not come under RCM, will be under forward charge. Any one or two example if you can quote? I'm talking about services, not goods, right? क्या मुझे एक या दो example बता सकते हो? हाँ, बताएं सर.
Yeah, transportation services, transportation of passengers.
Okay, nice.
And Department of Post.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you so much. Great, yeah. So in case of the full upfront payment, the telecom operator. So why the service was under reverse charge? Because if you read the RCM chapter in which the serial number 5 talks about services provided by the government will come under reverse charge, except few services that either RCM, it will be covered in the RCM chapter. Like sir has told that Department of particular postal department services, transportation passenger, immovable property provided to the registered person, something like that. So provided to the unregistered person. If it is registered, it will come again under reverse charge. In case where the full upfront payment is made by the telecom operator, GST would be payable when the payment of the said is made or is due, whichever is earlier. Okay. In case where deferred payment is made by the operator in a specified installment, same shall be considered as continuous supply, since the supply is agreed to be provided for a period which is exceeding 3 months. So the only point which they like to highlight, and one of the important one which they like to highlight, that this spectrum service is also being treated as continuous supply of service. Further, since the date of the payment to be made by the telecom operator to the DOT is clearly ascertainable from the relevant document, invoice shall be issued in accordance with 31 subsection 5 clause A. As per this section, continuous supply the service when the due date is ascertainable from the contract, the invoice shall be issued on or before the such due date of the payment. Accordingly, tax invoice will be required to be issued on or before the due date of the payment as per the option exercised by the telecom operator. Now you can understand why they are using the word telecom operator. Will the invoice be issued by the telecom operator? Depends. We have already discussed the requirement of self invoice. Okay. Thus, in case the GST would be payable as and when the payment are due, which or made, whichever is earlier. It is also clarified that similar treatment regarding the time of supply may apply in other cases where any natural resources are being allocated to the successful bidder, purchaser, for right to use the said natural resources over a period of time, like mining contract, constituting the supply the service with the option of the payment for the said service either upfront or deferred periodical installment. Okay. Now for this import of service between associated enterprises, and from this page number 35 we will discuss from the next class. Okay. Now last 10 minutes I will use this concept in every class. What is the concept? I will ask the random question, whatever we have discussed in 2.5 hours. I will ask certain question, quick round of the question answer, and you please give the reply in the chat only. Please do not unmute and then speak. Before starting that, if you have any doubt, you raise your hand, I will unmute. कोई doubt किसी का with respect to any point, you can discuss, and then I will start the quick round of the question answer. चलो मैं start करता हूँ. Tell me what is the use of the time of supply chapter. Tell me what is the use of the time of supply chapter. Why we should refer the time of supply provisions. What is the use of the time of supply? Please write in the chat, requesting not to unmute and then speak. One line, two line, whatever you think, you can give the answer. मेरा question क्या है? What is the use of the time of supply chapter? Why I should refer? Why I should read the time of supply chapter at all? Absolutely correct by all the participants. To determine when I need to discharge the tax liability. To determine when I need to discharge the tax liability. GST is payable on actionable claim or specified actionable claim? Which transaction will be considered as liable to GST? Actionable claim or specified actionable claim? Can you give me one example of a specified actionable claim? Can you give me one example of a specified actionable claim? Yogesh, only one correction. Never use the word online gaming, because online gaming is service. Online gaming is service. You should use the word online money gaming. That is a specified actionable claim. Tell me one thing, whether a specified actionable claim or actionable claim is goods or service? Whether specified actionable claim is a goods or service? Very simple question. We have discussed multiple times this point. Now tell me, normally the GST would be payable on advance for supply of the goods? Yes, no. Normally the GST would be payable on the advance for the supply of the goods? Yes, no. Normally I'm asking normally whether GST would be payable on the advance for supply the goods? Answer is no. But there are two exceptions which we have discussed. There are two exceptions which we have discussed, that in these two cases, I need to pay the GST for supply of the goods. Tell me, what are the two cases where the advance would be taxable for supply of the goods? Very nice, Yogesh. No. Let me repeat my question. I'm saying that in case of the goods, advance payment is not considered for time of supply normally. But in which two cases the supplier need to pay the GST on advance for goods? दो ऐसे केस हैं जहां पर advance for goods become taxable, create the liability. Answer is कंपोजिशन डीलर अगर है तो, और दूसरा क्या है? स्पेसिफाइड एक्शनेबल क्लेम. स्पेसिफाइड एक्शनेबल क्लेम, करेक्ट. For continuous supply the goods, what is the time of supply? For continuous supply the goods, what is the time of supply? Whatever question comes into my mind, I am asking that question. So it will almost cover the entire revision, whatever we have discussed in the today class. Okay. What is the time of supply in case of continuous supply of goods? Your answer should be, there is no different provision for continuous supply of the goods regarding the time of supply. मेरा क्वेश्चन में थोड़ा सा कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी था. मैंने क्या क्वेश्चन पूछा था? आई हैव आस्क्ड द क्वेश्चन कि व्हाट इज द टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई फॉर द कंटिन्यूअस सप्लाई ऑफ द गुड्स. सेम whatever we are discussing normal, the same is applicable for continuous also. Invoice, last day to issue the tax invoice, that's it. But only provision change that what is the time limit to issue the tax invoice. That you can say absolutely correct, whatever you have given. Sanjay ji has given the perfect. So you are saying no. Only one part is not there. Now let me repeat my question. What is the time limit to issue the tax invoice in case of continuous supply of the goods? Now tell me, what is the time limit to issue the invoice in case of the continuous supply of goods? संजय, आपने एक पार्ट तो बिल्कुल ठीक कहा, एक पार्ट और मिसिंग है. Only one part is missing. Can you add that part also? What is the time limit to issue the tax invoice in case of the continuous supply of the goods? The answer is periodically payment or statement, whichever is earlier. Can I say that in case of continuous supply of the goods? Say yes or no. Can we say in case of the continuous supply of the goods, indirectly payment is being factored, payment is being considered? In case of the continuous supply of the goods, the payment is being considered for the time of supply indirectly. Can we say this? कि वैसे तो date of payment is not being considered under forward charge. Absolutely correct. But in case of the continuous supply of the goods, last date to issue the tax invoice is being linked to the statement of the payment. So कहीं ना कहीं payment को continuous supply of the goods में factor कर लिया already. Correct ना? ठीक. Next question. In case of the reverse charge, whether date of payment would be relevant or not relevant for the purpose of time of supply? Would be relevant or not relevant? Will it be relevant or will it not be relevant? or you can say considered or ignored. In case of the reverse charge, let's say I have made the payment to my supplier, advance payment. Do I need to discharge the tax liability? Do I need to consider the date of advance? Answer is yes. Because this is not relaxed in case of RCM. It is only forward charge. Because 12 subsection 2 का reference था, not 12 subsection 3 का reference था. Next point is up to what amount of advance supplier has the choice that he can make the payment of the GST का liability at the time of advance, or he can defer to the next invoice. कितना amount तक का अगर advance मिलता है तो it is the choice of the supplier to pay or defer. Right? The answer is 1,000 rupees. Absolutely correct. Just tell me the two or three dates for time of supply of the goods under reverse charge and time of supply of the service under reverse charge. Quickly compare. कौन सी 3 डेट है गुड्स में और कौन सी 2 या 3 डेट है सर्विसेज में? टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई फॉर द गुड्स अंडर आरसीएम, टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई फॉर सर्विसेज अंडर आरसीएम. Quickly tell me. It is small. Might be take you 1 minute. Just quickly tell me. Answer is date of payment and let me read. Goods के केस में क्या होगा? Receipt of the goods. Yes. Then invoice plus 31 days. Yeah, invoice following 30 days or date of payment whichever is earlier. And services में receipt of goods नहीं होगा. Absolutely correct. But 60 days, absolutely correct. And yes, rest of the things are same. Okay, last point. Swati ma'am, will you take that session last? Is it? Ma'am, आप mute हैं, एक second. आप mute हैं ma'am.
Okay, sorry. Yes, sir, I'm here to conclude the session. The quiz you are taking are really wonderful. In fact, we at Board of Studies, we take the GST Titan quiz. They are of the similar type. I had also prepared for time of supply. Basically, that contains 4 options, but it is wonderful you are taking. So that's why I dropped the idea and thought that you may continue.
Okay.
And 2 more things, sir. Yes, students. Anyway, sir, you just complete, then I will conclude it.
Fine. I'll ask 1 or 2 questions next.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Then next we have discussed that in case of the there was 2 clarification. So first, under the HAM model, you tell me, will the HAM model consists of the 2 part. What are the 2 part in the HAM model of NHA, National Highway Authority of India, whatever we have discussed? उसमें 2 part cover होते हैं. Contract पूरा लंबा contract होता है, which consists of the 2 part. I know it is not part of my GST, but yes, Yes. One is the construction of the road, and that is second is O&M. O&M. Now, this is like 15, 17 years. Will this contract can be artificially divided in two parts to calculate the RCM liability of reverse charge, liability, whatever the liability of RCM or forward charge? I'm just asking time of supply. Can we split this contract in two parts and calculate separately, or the entire contract should be holistically read as one contract? It will be treated as single contract. Will this be a continuous supply of the service contract? Will it be a continuous supply of the service contract? Sanjay, Yogesh, and Chitra. The answer is yes. And last clarification, that was on spectrum contract. Spectrum contract, correct? And जो spectrum contract in which the DOT is the supplier and the recipient, the RCM would be applicable, that you have discussed. In case of the late fees or the delayed payment, complete my sentence. Will the interest late fees be taxable? In which case? Sorry, I myself have completed, no problem. In which case the late fees or interest will be taxable? In which case the late fees, interest would be taxable for delayed payment of any consideration. Last question for the day. Last question for the day. Normally, the liability to pay the GST arise on accrual basis, but in which case it will arise on payment basis, not on accrual basis. कब मुझे liability to pay the GST would be on actual payment instead of accrual? If I have issued the invoice also, I will ignore the invoice, but I have to pay when I'm actually receiving the payment from my customer. Yes, interest late fees on account of the delayed payment of any consideration would be taxable on receipt basis, not on accrual basis, as per section 12 subsection 6. In the next class, we will cover this particular part, associate enterprise, then we'll move to the section 14. And there are two clarity which I will give you that we have discussed. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Good morning, sir, and good morning, students. Very nice, I will say a wonderful session taken by sir, and that's what we also at Board of Studies generally conduct GST Titan quiz, in which we ask students the application based questions so that your concepts get clear. And two important points which sir has also highlighted, I would like to reiterate them. That yes, as sir told you, that when you interact, when you participate in the question and answer session, these answers will automatically come in your mind when you will appear in the examination. So this is really a settled principle, I will say, that which sir has discussed with you. We at Board of Studies had also endorse the same view. We also feel the same, and that's why we conduct the sessions GST Titan quiz for you. Because if you will interact, you will reply the questions as asked by sir. Along with a brief reasoning, you will understand the concepts in a better manner. And obviously, when you will appear in the examination, that reasoning will definitely get registered in your mind, and you will be able to retain the concepts in a long run. And another thing which sir has highlighted that regarding circulars, NHAI circular and the one more circular, spectrum usage circular, has been discussed by sir in an elaborative manner. And yes, as sir told you that yes, it is. We also advise students it is better not to quote than to misquote any circular number. So yes, your concept should be clear. You should be well. The clarity which a circular which is explaining why the circular, that should be clear in your mind. You should be able to it's not verbatim language is not expected from you, and circular number you did not remember. You just need to remember the thorough gist of the circular, the principle which has been enunciated by the circular, the clarification which has been made by this any particular circular. And yes, the next class I will also would like to emphasize that please participate in the next class, because I will take the amendments which has been made in the reverse charge provision. And a new rule 47A has also been inserted, which specifies the time limit for issuance of invoice in case of self supplies. So please be there in the next class, because in the next class amendments portion will be taken. And obviously all of your friends who might have missed today's class, you might ask them to to go through the class on a YouTube, because the two important circulars which some students might feel difficult, spectrum usage as well as NHAI circulars, has been explained in a detailed manner by sir. And the question and answers which he asks is really very participative, very interesting, and it is very helpful in learning the concepts, in understanding it properly, in application of concepts. So friends, be there in the next class, and any of your friends who is not getting benefit of these live virtual classes, you may ask them to join these classes. And maybe if they are not there on the live, they may join through YouTube. But yes, one benefit which is there in the live sessions is that you tend to participate in the interactive sessions, in the question and answer sessions, and you can, at the same point of time, you can ask your doubts. So it helps you in a better understanding. So thank you sir, and thank you students. See you in the next class. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Goodbye.
Bye. Is over.